Are you aware that you're struggling with an invisible disease? And that disease is called deformation. I gave it the name, but I didn't make it up. I mean, the proof is out there. If you look around you in the first world with all the adults, they are deformed. There's something not normal with their bodies, and the older they are, they're usually more deformed. Okay? Deformation is that. It slowly makes our bodies collapse and it changes our shape to the point where we are so locked up and we look like a turtle, and it becomes the root of all our suffering. You know, all physical pains in some form come from deformation. It's, you know, the shoulders are locked, the spine is compressed, the hips are locked up, and then when you start to move in that body, especially if you want to do something which is fun and light and joyful, you start to get hurt. So what do we do about this? Like, how do we fight deformation, and how does it happen? Like, how do we are affected by it? And to understand this, we have to go all the way back. We have to go all the way back to the time when you just exited the womb and you came onto this plane. And as you are born, life immediately becomes a struggle because you have to fight gravity. Okay? It takes a child almost a year and a half to properly figure out gravity, so it can organize its body to stand upright and to be balanced. And mind you, the child has no strength. You know, there's no advantage of strength, so it has to rely on proper alignment. It has to learn how to balance that heavy head on top of the pelvis, and then make sure that those things are then properly stacked on top of two legs so it can at least stand. And then walking is a whole other story, but it takes a child quite a while until it becomes mobile. Until this point, there's no deformation. Okay? Because the child relies on proper alignment, and it has the advantage of being soft and supple, so it can move freely and efficiently. Okay? Now everything changes when that child gets civilized. As it goes to school, as it becomes sedentary, as it's forced into that chair for a long amount of extended periods of time, this is where the deformation process starts to happen, because we were never meant or designed to stay in a 90-degree, you know, sitting furniture for all of that time. As you lack movement, and as you are pretty much forced into that shape for long periods of time, you are starting to deform. Okay? There's a lack of blood flow, there's a lack of movement, there's a lack of stimulation, and now the tissue starts locking up, and before you know it, you're becoming this hunched over, brittle and frail creature. So this is how it begins. Now, to combat deformation, we have to have a suppleness practice. Okay? Now, most of you out there who are looking to improve their health, you're looking in the wrong direction, because especially with men, what they're looking for is strength. I want to get stronger, stronger, stronger. It's like the currency, like money, that everybody's chasing after because it believes it opens so many possibilities and limitations. But it is not strength that you need, at least not now. If you are in pain, if you're immobile, if you have problems that you can't explain why, they come out of nowhere, it's because you are locked up. You are too stiff than you should be. You're too stiff than the default is, or the default recommends. You know, again, children are the guideline. Touch their bodies, feel them. They are soft, yet they're sturdy. Even a baby who just learns to walk, it is soft, but when it stands, it's firm. Okay? Alignment is the mastery of movement. Okay? If you watch in any other field, like sports or dance or any kind of art, what do the pros do? They make the difficult easy, or at least look easy. Now, it doesn't mean there's no effort at all, or there's no struggle at all. They still struggle, but they struggle the least amount they should. Okay? And that's really the goal. This is also how you, by the way, free yourself from this unnecessary struggle. It's hard enough to be alive and look for food and feed this vehicle and do all the things that is necessary to survive on this plane. But if on top of that you're struggling with just movement, with just basic mobility, you're in big trouble. You know, you are playing life on hard mode, although it's never designed to be that way. Okay? So the way you make it easier for yourself is you have to find alignment. You have to combat deformation. And that's number one, through a suppleness practice. You have to be soft. You have to be supple. You know, how do we do that? Any type of stretching, any type of yoga, any type of floor work, anything that is connected to being low on the ground and, you know, massaging, body work, softening the body. that counts as a suppleness practice. This is number one. Number two is you have to understand proper alignment. You have to understand and study movement, understand how that body organizes itself in space. How can I make the mundane stuff effortless? How do I stand effortless? How do I sit effortless? How do I bend over and pick things off the floor effortless? How do I walk effortless? This is where you start. And then of course, as you go into more complex movement arts and sports, you learn technique, which is basically the same thing, but it's effortlessness in more complex movements and motions. Okay? So this is it, you know, this is step one. How you actually make life joyful, because if you're really big, if you're really strong, you have a lot of currency, you can still not live life on a low effort or low struggle mode. You will still struggling more than you should be. And you can be strong when you're young, but as you grow older, that strength will slowly fade, and the only thing that's going to be left is understanding of proper alignment and movement mechanics, okay? Because this is the only thing that will allow you to cruise and flow through life effortlessly, okay? So as a first goal, make the mundane, make the basics, the fundamentals effortless, okay? This is how you actually find, again, joy, you know, for the normal stuff in life. You cannot be in pain. You cannot be in pain through being too stiff, and you cannot struggle for the things that are never meant to be a struggle, like walking, running, jumping, moving around, moving your vehicle around, okay? So this is what I want to point you, okay? This is where you start. The first practice of a very healthy vehicle or a healthy movement or a good way of maintaining it is to maintain your suppleness first. Stay supple, work it frequently. You need that more than cardio, more than strength, more than anything, is a softness practice. And then once you're soft, you can finally relearn proper alignment. But for that, I have to create a whole separate video. So food for thought, and yeah, stay soft, stay supple. It's the first quality you need, and it's the quality you need most.